Hello and welcome to another Talking To episode. I'm your host Teddy, and today I'm being joined once again by...
Hayden.
And today we're going to be talking about the TMNT 2003 Season 1 Episode 10 and 11, The Shredder Strikes Part 1 and Part 2. So yeah, this is going to be a really interesting one. And before we do actually talk into it, there were a few things which I would like to quickly talk about from a comment which I did get. So this is from Local Simp. They put, OMG, I listened to it during school and it was 10 out of 10. And I was talking to them a little bit more and it was revealed that they actually listened to 5 of our podcasts a day. So, yeah, what do you think about that? Because I feel a bit famous now.
Wow. Well, I was not expecting... I wasn't expecting that, to be honest. But thanks, mate. Cheers.
So yeah, what did you think about the actual episodes themselves, like briefly?
Well, I don't really have words to describe them briefly, but if I had to, I would say these are very dynamic, action-packed, and interesting episodes.
Yeah, I'd say that these episodes were really great for introducing us to Shredder, and it does an amazing job. Just wow. Okay, so yeah, we're starting off with the episode. We see Vitello's training with them fighting, and Leo's winning. So what do you think about that little scene?
The training scene was quite cool to see. Seeing the turtles train together again, and doing weapons training. With all the different weapons, the katana, the bow staff, the nunchucks, and of course, I've sadly forgotten Raph's blades again. I keep forgetting the name. The Versailles, thank you. Those were pretty cool because they were comparing which weapon was best for the ninja, and of course, Leo was in this scene very arrogant, which is very, very weird to see Leo. Well, in my case, in this instance, just seeing Leo's character of arrogance and being self-empowering himself is like, I've got the better weapon than everyone else. Before Splinter puts Leo in his rightful place.
Yeah, I'd say that I really enjoyed the training scene. I thought it was like very uniquely creative. I mean, again, I always do love when turtles do train. I always think it like brings them back down to reality that like they're not the best ninjas and they're constantly evolving. And I must admit, I do love that. And I think seeing it here where turtles are just doing some weapons training, it just brings a little bit of realism to it all. And yeah, I do think that Leo did come off a little bit weird in this scene, but I do think that it did play out good for his character overall for the story. But then with the Splinter scene, God, I love that bit so much. I mean, we never get to see Splinter train as much as I would like him to, but with the scene where he just puts Leo right in his place and just so amazing with the swords, oh my God, I loved it so much. What do you think about that scene?
Well, I wasn't expecting Splinter just to pull out all the stops. Like when he said to strike Leo to strike himself, that was just unexpected. I was not expecting him to grab the blade with his bare hand. Like, how is that even possible?
Yeah. So then in the next scene we do get to see Leonardo on a roof, training with his swords, cuts up some newspapers, and gets and stops a bow and arrow. What do you think about this scene?
Well, one, we got to see Leo's character a bit more. He's definitely becoming a lot more arrogant and a lot more anger in him. And of course, this is where it took a turn for me, because I was thinking this is like Leo's dark side. This is where Leo would go down a darker path. And that was kind of interesting to think about, but sadly he didn't do that. And of course, that would have been an awesome story arc to go down. But seeing the Foot Clan, the ninja, I thought he was an assassin, of course. Like, he was there to kill Leo. But then, of course, as Leo is, stops it with his katanas and reads the letter from Shredder, which is really weird and cool at the same time. But I'm not too sure on how to say about that. How about yourself? What did you think of it?
So with this scene, It's a really weird one. So I must admit, I do like the scene for a lot of reasons. I think that it really goes into exploring Leonardo as a character, really explore what drives him to be like himself, really. And the thing with this scene is that I find really interesting with what happens in a later story arc for his character is to see where like his problems lie, and this is more or less like the start of his problems within this episode. And see, he's always wanted to be the best. He can't accept failure. He can't accept like he's not the best and all that. And I must admit, think like seeing it like it's starting here and seeing like it carry on throughout the show and all that is a really interesting thing. I know that you haven't seen those episodes yet, but I do think that if you was to look back on this episode, you could be like, "Oh my god, I can't believe it! This is where it started." And seeing it here, it's like it's really interesting to see that like it all started here, and then yeah, with the Shredder stuff, it would have been made me laugh if like the first assassin just killed Leonardo and Shredder was just and Shredder just think he was like some great ninja, but like the thing is Leonardo was just doing it by chance. That would have just been very uniquely amazing.
That would have been funny.
But then we do get Leonardo go in and talk to Shredder after beating some foot soldiers. What do you think about this scene?
To be honest, I really wasn't expecting Neo to take up the letter and follow through with it, because I was thinking, as like, this is straight up 101 a trap. Like, this has a trap written all over it. Like, Leo, if you've got you got some brain cells, just don't do it. But he does it anyways, goes along to the dojo, finds out it's the Foot Clan, and of course Shredder's there. To be honest, I thought it was going to be a huge trap, like a massive ambush. Leo was going to get taken out, and it would have been the end of that. But no, and it was completely different story, and which really surprised me. Like, in this episode alone, I was not expecting any of this to happen. I thought, oh, this is going to happen, completely blown out of proportions.
Oh, I mean, the thing is with this scene, I was like really surprised just like Shredder's like choice of words he used, like very specific ones to like really get into Leo's mind and like really change his opinions about stuff. And I'm really surprised at like how close Shredder got to actually convincing Leo to join the Foot Clan. I was really surprised with like how good he got, and to the point like even though it's all fictional, that it still did like sort of convince me to join it, because like it was like, I mean, I must admit, Shredder's voice was very good in this scene, like very convincing, and then but again the words he used were very, I don't know, they were like very good ones to really get into your mind and stuff like that, and you know, really convince you to join them. And yeah, I was so surprised by how good it was. But then we do have a unique scene where Leo and Raph go at each other, and while I don't have really too much to really say about this bit, the one thing I don't want to say here is Donnie's joke about saying, about Leo and Raph fight scene, saying how he didn't see it coming. I absolutely loved it. What do you think about that scene?
I didn't really have too much to say for that scene, but it was kind of funny just to see them, fight, and just the brotherly banter. And of course, this was more the banter. Like, genuinely, they thought Leo was going to sell them out to the Foot, because Leo was given all this great info, and he was persuaded. Hell, even I was going to be persuaded. Like, hold on a minute. I know this guy is like pure evil and he wants to control the world, but he's got a good point, you know? But anyways, seeing that scene was pretty funny, to see them fight. Of course, Leo almost kills his own brother, and God, that would have been something. Just throws him off the building. Thank God. Raph has reflexes of a ninja, so that was good. But yeah, I didn't really have much to say about that scene, except it was a nice filler scene.
Yeah, also I'd like to add on to your little comment there about the Raph going off the edge. I was like how casual Raph is just hanging off the building as if like nothing's really happened. I mean, if that was me, I'd be freaking out and all that. Like, he just tried to kill him. So, yeah, I do find that a bit weird how casual it was. Yeah, then we do go into the next scene, which I feel like you might have a few things to say, and I'm quite interested to hear what you say about it. Is the backstory with Hamato Yoshi and about him getting killed by Shredder and all that. What do you think about all that?
Well, I was not expecting like the whole backstory. Like this is very, very different to what I was expecting. I thought, okay, Master Splinter was a human who got mutagen on him, just like in the 2012 version, but absolutely not what I was expecting. He was the pet of the Master Yoshi, and it was kind of pretty cool to see a different outtake on how Master Splinter came to be. And of course, seeing him, his master, them training together was pretty cool to see. And of course, Shredder came in and killed his master after torturing him for information that wasn't even there. It was really interesting to see a different side of this character development. Like it was completely different to what I was expecting.
Yeah. I always have to say this with the whole backstory. I absolutely love how dark it was, and like, it definitely had a different tone to all the other episodes, and it definitely did like leave its mark on this episode. I just love how dark it was, and like to go back to the whole Splinter and Shredder, or like Splinter being a rat in this universe. I do like the big changes between this version and 2012 because like I do always like having everything a bit different and yet at the same time still same in a way. So I do like the differences, but I will say this: I think I do prefer the 2012 version as I find a bit more. I know that's going to sound a bit bad with me saying this, but like it seems a bit more believable that a human that gets turned into a rat knows how to fight because he already knows the martial arts, instead of a normal rat learning how to fight from watching someone. I know that this whole thing is unrealistic and all that, but I just find it really hard to believe that it would happen even if he is normal and all that. So, yeah. But one question which I really want to ask you, was you expecting like the backstory with Hun's scars on his face with Splinter?
To be honest, no. Because we all seen Han before, we all know who he is, but we never knew how he got his scar on his face. And knowing that Master Splinter gave him that scar, that was pretty interesting. It was a small but unique part of the story, which I really enjoyed finding out about. It's like, that's how Han got his scars, from Splinter, even though Han had no idea that Splinter was a mutated rat still, and that it was just really cool to see. Even though it was a small side little info, it was really cool to find out how he got his scars.
So one final question about this little scene. Did you actually think that Han's like marks on his face were actually scars, or did you think they were like just some like tattoo or something?
I genuinely thought they were tattoos. Like, I thought it was like part of the dragon ripping across his face or something. Something cool, but when, of course, we see Splinter scratching Han, those are the scars. And I'm like, oh my god, they're not tattoos, they're actual scars.
Yeah. So yeah, we're going into the next scene. We got to see we get to see the Turtles go up against the Foot Clan. What do you think about this scene?
Going back to the dojo, the Turtles go back to the dojo, and we see them fight the Foot Clan and the ninjas. A pretty cool fight ensues. I don't really have much to say, except that the lesson was learnt by Leo very quickly on how it's not the weapon that the ninja uses, it's the ninja himself that uses the weapon to become a great ninja, which was pretty cool to see. Just seeing the little stories within the episodes and seeing them develop over time, which is really cool to see. But I didn't really have much to say except for this scene. I've got tons to say though for the Shredder scenes, so yeah.
Yeah, I must admit this fight scene. I think it was like short and simple but perfect. There wasn't really too much to really say about it, but it was what we needed just to throw in the fight. Maybe, or then again, like maybe this whole fight scene was a bit unnecessary, maybe. But then we do have a really awesome one with the telescope against Hun. What did you think about that fight scene?
That was pretty cool. Seeing Han just pop out of nowhere and just fight, really. Just seeing Han and the turtles fight again was pretty cool to see. And how Leo dealt with Han, I what did not expect that at all. Like the amount of kicks, like he was up in the air for such a long time, the amount of kicks that Han got to the face, I was surprised Han didn't get knocked out. And I'm even more surprised that Han didn't die when he fell to his demise. I was surprised that he didn't die from injuries like bleeding, internal injuries, broken ribs, a broken skull as well. Like not in just the face, but in the back as well. I'm surprised. Like Han is an absolute unit. He cannot be killed.
Yeah, I must admit with the Hun fight, I absolutely loved everything about it. It was just perfect, really. So many. I must admit, I do think that like one, I was a bit taken back by the fact that Hun knows how to like use a sword and actually be a really good fighter and actually go up against Leo. I do think that sometimes he's a bit written inconsistently sometimes with maybe his strength and his skills when going up against all the other characters. So like seeing it here was a bit. It's a bit weird to see him all of a sudden just know how to use a sword and be a good ninja. I mean, so do you know beyond unrealistic, I'll say. But then like another thing with it all, with it, I, God, it's a really interesting fight. But I do think that at the same time is that because the last fight was only 2 episodes ago, I think this would have had a bit more of a bigger impact and be like, oh my god, I can't believe they're going up against each other now again. If maybe this was episode was a few episodes a bit more later in the season, just so you have a bit more of a build up to it. But other than that, I absolutely loved it. But yeah, then going into the second episode, oh my god, Shredder's quotes at the beginning of the episode, they were amazing. Oh god, some of them were like, you see me as I am. Oh god. Yeah, what did you think about Shredder's quotes?
They were very powerful.
But yeah, so then going into the first fight scene with the Shredder and the Foot Clan, what do you think about that scene?
It was action packed. Like to be honest, I'm still trying to process what happened in that scene because so much was happening at one time that you couldn't process it all at once. Seeing the turtles fight against the Foot, then of course the turtles fighting against the Shredder. And then, of course, the whole place decides to blow up in flames after, I don't know what it was, maybe a fan or something electrical on the roof just set up in flames and somehow exploded the whole building. That was completely unexpected at all. Like, everything was on fire, everything was in flames. And just a quick one, I wanted to point this out as well. How come no one saw them fight on the roof? Like, I know it was on the roof, but it's in the middle of New York City. Someone is bound to see them fight, right?
Well, you would think that, but then again, it's New York and this is the Turtle universe, so you know. But yeah, like, this scene, I loved it. I loved it. I've also did a really great job of showing like building up the tension and make it a bit more action packed with the Turtles up against the Foot Clan. Shredder was pretty cool in the scene. I don't think he was the best at this point in the episode. Like later on in the episode, I do think he was better. And yeah, the whole fight thing, I do want to talk about that in a minute with Shredder. But with the whole fight scene, I do like this one. But I do think that while it is raining, I must admit, I love a fight scene in the rain. They have a different kind of feel to them. But I think that the effect they had on the turtles, where even though you could see the rain on them, it wasn't moving, so it just looked as though they had like really weird effects on them. Yeah, it just didn't really sit too well with me. But one thing I do want really want to say here is Shredder in the fire. How amazing is that? I can't put into words how speechless I am with it all. Oh god, it's amazing.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, and then so then afterwards all the turtles split up and go their own separate ways. I don't think there's really too much to really say about the majority of it. But when Donnie and Mikey were in the bathroom talking to each other, and they saw the kid. Did the little boy's voice sound familiar to you?
Um, I'm not too sure, to be honest. Was I supposed to know the voice?
Well, I don't know. Maybe it sounds a bit like Ash Ketchum from Pokemon, because it was that voice.
Oh my god! Yeah. Now that you say it
Yeah,
out loud,
yeah. I do think it's really cool to see that in the episode, but I don't know. It's a bit weird knowing about it because you're just thinking. I don't know. Just thinking about a crossover now, but it was really cool to see. Um, and yeah, so then Splinter goes out, and that's when he catches up with Raphael, Donatello, and Michelangelo. And then they have a big fight. What did you think about Boomer Splinter in this moment?
Boomer Splinter. Is that what you're calling it now?
Well, I mean, it was trying to get the whole controller working, so yeah.
Oh, yeah, that scene. I wasn't gonna lie, I thought Splinter was gonna cause like a massive destructive nightmare. Like he was pushing all the buttons, he was setting off all the weapons, like the missiles, the turrets, the mortar shells. That could have ended drastically. He could have gotten someone killed in that situation.
Yeah.
Like if he shot one of those mortar shells and it would landed in a building, his missiles, like the jet fuel engines, like I don't think they would be having a battle shell anytime soon if Master Splinter just kept pushing all those buttons.
Yeah. I mean, like, the thing that like really got me, that made me laugh, wasn't the fact that Splinter was doing it all wrong, because I somewhat did find that a bit enjoyable, but the thing that really got me was the fact that when Donnie pressed buttons, I'm pretty sure Splinter actually did press those buttons, so I'm not too sure what went wrong there. But I must admit, when Splinter did actually join the fight, I really did enjoy the fight. Like, I mean, the scene Donatello and Raphael going against Foot was amazing, but when Splinter joined it, I don't know, it's really great to see more Splinter fight in this universe. I must admit, even overall with Splinter, just seeing him fight and do stuff is always amazing to see. So I'm just so grateful that we are able to get more amazing scenes with Splinter. And I also feel as though that he's always one of those characters that he's a really cool one and could do so many amazing stuff, but at the same time he doesn't really get the attention that he needs to be like that good character that he knows that he is. Um, but yeah, then that's when we do get the Guardians fighting the Foot Clan. What do you think about that scene?
To be honest, I wasn't expecting the Guardians to show up because I've never heard of them before until now, or maybe in a previous episode. But we haven't had like a full episode that delve in to what their intentions are. And now that we know what their intentions are, they are less mysterious, in my opinion. Which is all right. They're still mysterious, but they're a little bit less mysterious, if you understand where I'm coming from now.
Yeah, I do. I must admit, like with the Guardians, I do. Well, first of all, I want to say that the fight scene was pretty cool. But I must admit, with the Guardians, and knowing what I know for the future for this series, I'm really am liking all the setup throughout this episode, and like stuff with Shredder was just amazing. And even with the Guardians, with what they are like, sort of like teasing with like wars and gangs and stuff like that, and the Turtles joining there on the right side and stuff like that. I think it's like really great how they're setting things up for the future. I love that. But then we do get but then going to the final fight. Oh my god, the Turtles versus the Foots, and then Shredder taking them out one by one. Oh my god, what did you think about that scene?
Jeez. I'm trying to put it into words, to be honest with you. There was so much going on in that scene alone. Just seeing the Foot Clan fight the Turtles again, seeing Shredder in action with the Turtles again. It was a lot to take in. But I just quickly want to point out, I'm surprised the Turtles, their shells did not crack under the immense pressure and force that Shredder was throwing those punches. Like, we all saw the shells crash against the back of the wall, and they left a dent. And the Turtles was somehow not damaged in the process, but that wall was, which was just crazy because the Turtles, that's their shell. And of course, a little biology lesson here. The turtle shell is actually their full body. Like behind the turtle is their organs, their lungs, and all their important organs. And if that was to crack, then that would have been really bad. But surprisingly, it didn't crack, and somehow they were managed to walk it off like they always do. But yeah, that scene was just incredible, just to see the amount of work and dedication for each individual fighting scene that the animators and the producers put through. Seeing Shredder in his full decked out armor as well, just seeing all this minute details coming together and making it one huge scene that was very impressionable, in my opinion.
Yeah, let's say that with this scene, I absolutely loved it. I enjoyed the turtles fighting the foot. I mean, of course, with any turtle fight scene, it's always just going to be amazing no matter what. But I think that with this scene in particular, there were like so many unique and great shots, and so many like different camera angles and the way that things and the way that turtles did it. Like this is one of the ones which I think this is like one of those fight scenes which I really wish like we was watching together just so that I can actually be like, oh my god, like I don't know, I don't know. It's just one of those fight scenes which I just want to sit down and to point out and be like, oh yeah, that scene was amazing because this and this and this. But like just sitting here talking about it and trying to like put it into very few words, it's all a bit hard. But I feel like there's so many in there
It
which
is.
I just. Oh god! I mean, just one like really good examples, like when like Shredder was about to swipe Leonardo, then Raph comes in and stops him with his size. Oh my god, that was amazing. There's so many great things or fight scenes in this bit that I loved the bits, and I love how Shredder was taking them on one by one. That was amazing. Seeing how he took them all out, and it's like how Splinter just sit there and just didn't do anything. The one thing which I do have to say about this though, with Shredder, was with his left hand when he did punch them. I always feel as though that it's weird that they don't actually get cuts or stabs or anything like that, because that blade is really sharp, as you can tell from Hamato Yoshi, but he never does any damages to the actual turtles. But that blade is like curving around, so if he was to punch them, they would have at least got stabbed or something. That bit has always really annoyed me for that. Um, but yeah,
Mm,
then going to possibly one of the best parts about the episode, Master Splinter versus Shredder and taking down the water tower and stuff like that. What did you think about that scene?
that was pretty ingenious, I must say. Just seeing Master Splinter come in, use his intellect and his skills to outbest Shredder was just pretty cool to see. And seeing him use the water tower as well as a weapon, that was pretty cool. Like seeing Shredder use his weapons against himself was just pretty cool to see. And of course, I was really impressed in how they managed to get the water to go as well. And the amount of water in that water tower was immense, enough to like knock Shredder and his entire Foot Clan off the side of the building, as we later saw in the episode as well. And seeing the water tower fall on Shredder, like thinking, oh my god, this is the end for Shredder. Like Shredder is done for. Like he's just been blown off the side of the building by a massive amounts of water. He's fallen onto the pavement, and now a giant water tower has just fell on him. He's not really having the best of days, is he now?
Yeah. So I must admit, with this fight scene, I've always really liked this one just because like the tension is there. I will say this: I don't think this fight scene is as strong as the 2012 one. I thought also the 2012 one was a bit more emotionally impactful, and the tension around it was just perfect for 2012. I feel also 2003, like all the motivation's there, but it's just missing that oh my god factor. And I do think that when Shredder was fighting Splinter, I mean, it still is really good and enjoyable, and it's really, again, it's great to see Master Splinter actually fight. And then when Shredder was slicing at the water tower, I do think that was a bit weird that he didn't notice that he was taking it down or anything like that. And yeah, seeing Shredder get taken over the edge with the water tower, yeah, oh god, amazing. Okay, now here's the mistake that you probably might have missed, but at the same time, I don't know if you did or not. So when Splinter kicks the water tower breaks, and the thing breaks, and the water comes out, right? But then when, in the next shot,
Yeah.
we see Shredder on the ground, and another water tower, fully built, comes down and smashes on him. I'd like you to discuss that with your insanity.
Uh, I did not notice that at all for some odd reason. And now looking back over it, I realise what you're saying. And I'm just trying to think, how is that even possible? We saw the water tower being destroyed, and then, of course, magically reappear, fully built, and crushing the shredder.
Mm-hmm.
I I kind of wish you didn't bring that up now, because that's going to be playing on my mind all all day now.
But yeah,
How?
then we do have the final shot, which is an amazing one. Shredder poking his hand through the wood, and with the claw, the amazing scene. What do you think about that? And also, what do you think? What do you think about that scene? And what do you think of Shredder? And what do you think is going to happen next with that scene?
Well, to be honest, I wasn't expecting anyone to come back from that, seeing him just rushed off the side of the building by gallons of water, then of course being crushed by a fully built water tower, just crushing him and every piece of bone in his body. I didn't think he was going to come back from that, but surprisingly he did. So, to be honest, I'm not too sure on where Shredder and this scene's going to go, to be honest with you. I think Shredder's going to survive now, and he's going to be injured for a bit. He's going to be out of the game for a bit, but he's going to still play a massive role in the development of the series still, I think. That's what I think, though.
You have to say that overall, this scene, I've always loved this one just because of how cool it is. It's just amazing. And I do think that the setup and build up for other episodes is just like really cool to like say that yeah, he's not done and all that. Um the only thing with this is that I on the one hand I love it because of what everything I just said, but at the same time I do think it would have been cooler to see like when he next returns, for him to just like show up and all that, because the next episode that he appears in is called Shredder Strikes Back. So like even in that episode, you don't really get the like big surprise as you already know that he's going to return. But I don't know. I feel so they could have handled all this a lot better. So it's somewhat disappointing that they revealed it, sort of like, that basically they reveal it in the title of an episode, and also they revealed it here. But on the other hand, this scene was just too cool not to put in there. But what do you think about this scene? Or no, oh god. What do you think about this episode overall?
This episode overall was certainly very interesting, and just seeing these episodes together was really really interesting, and I really did enjoy the whole story behind it all, including the backstory. I really enjoyed learning about the backstory of the characters and how they are who they are today, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, I think that this episode just did an amazing job of setting up this universe's Shredder, how he's going to be, and everything like that. And I do think that also setting up the backstory and giving a bit more reason in why like things happen in this universe for a reason. I thought also that was really cool. And I have to say that there was a lot of really great things throughout this episode that just like, I don't know, it really makes this whole show feel very uniquely different compared to every other like TV show out there. For like, I mean, obviously it will be different for all of them, but this episode and many others from the show that really make this one feels very uniquely different. But yeah, do you want to hear some comments now?
Let's hear them.
Okay, so I just had to wait for some of the pages to load in again. Okay, so on Reddit, we got from the Varana Scribe, They put, after waiting so long for Shredder to finally make an appearance, this episode was cathartic to watch. Shredder beating the Turtles was absolutely brutal to watch. Splinter having trouble activating Battle Shell was hilarious little gag, but added some much needed levity. And when he warned the Turtles that Shredder wouldn't rest until he found them, and answered the question of what to do next with, let him find us, because he wanted to avenge Yoshi. So chilling. I couldn't have asked for a better episode to establish Shredder's relationship with Turtles, and it wouldn't only get better from here. Yeah, I can't disagree. Like, this episode for building up Shredder's relationship was just perfect. The Icebot 7. Oh, this was a really interesting one. They put, I thought it was a good lesson that weapons are not what makes you a good ninja, but your skills do. I keep this in mind when I play Splatoon 3. I use different items when I play the game. It was cool I've seen part 2 where we get a hint about Shredder. Yeah, what do you think? That's a very weird comment to compare the lesson to Splatoon 3. Do you have anything to say about that?
Not really, no. I wasn't expecting the comparison between Splatoon 3 and the TMT, which was... Yeah, that's cool, I guess.
Joe Smasher, they put a episode that brought fear. Magma Striker put The Return of Water Towers. That's only because I put a video out explaining about the water tower situation, and I feel as though I'm mothering a lot of people's childhood from that. Hello Mellow 12 put, oh boy, that was fun. So I don't really know what they're referring to, but yeah. Tontamont Kavana, I'm pretty sure I'm saying it right. They put, this was the first episode when I saw Timothy for the first time in my childhood, and I fell in love with Timothy right away. This was one of the best and iconic story arcs in the Timothy show, and it's the first time show us Shredder, who is a great writing villain in this series. 2003 Shredder is the best incarnation of Shredder to date. He's also my favourite villain of all time. So, I think, okay, so going off this scene, what would you say is your favourite Shredder so far? Would you say it's 2012 or 2003?
Ooh, that is a good one. I've got to say, I know I haven't seen all the Shredders yet, but I gotta say the 2003 Shredder is more developed in my opinion. I think that I prefer the 2003 Shredder is because that his backstory is pretty cool. He's quite a well-developed character. His entire backstory and his whole persona in this series, I just feel like it's more developed in this one. And I know that we saw a brief part of his backstory, but it would just seem pretty cool to me.
Okay. Yeah, okay, so with that, I think, for me, I'm a bit opposite. I like 2003 Shredder. I think he has some of the best quotes throughout the whole show, and stuff like that. And I do think what they do with his character, and everything like that with his actual character, is really interesting and unique. But I think that with 2012 Shredder, what I like most about him, one, his voice. Oh god, his voice in 2012 is, I'll say, peak Shredder voice. But also I have to say that with Shredder in 2012, he has the motivation there with everything with Splinter and Karai and stuff like that. It's so, how do you put that into words, you know? But I think, because I feel as though most of the fan base, they do say that Shredder in this universe is one of the best Shredders of all time, and developed and stuff like that, and he's really crazy and powerful. I can see where they're coming from, but I just think that what they do with 2012 Shredder is just a lot more interesting, making more of a threat. So yeah, Clement William Perry, they put, I was okay with everything they did with Shredder up to the point where they revealed stuff for another episode. Oh god, I'm lucky I didn't read all that. Duncan Woodford, they put, Oh man, I haven't watched the show since it was still on there. You gotta post a link. Oh no, yep. Not really too much that one. And then going on to the next page, Kenny Holt, they put. Oh, they just quoted an episode. They quoted a line from Shredder saying, "The time for games are over. No more charades." God, I love his quotes. And then Carnage Ackerman, I'm pretty sure I said that right. They put. I always wonder how those lightning. Oh, okay. This is actually a really interesting thing. So with the rain scenes versus lightning, how did the lightning go onto Shredder's armor and electrocute him? I've always wondered that now.
Yeah, I don't really know that one myself, really. Maybe it wasn't a conductive. Maybe it wasn't a conductor. Maybe it was a blend of metals, non-conductive and conductive, perhaps. Unless it was made from fully steel, I really wouldn't know how to answer that.
Well, what about the tool weapons? Like, they're made from, like, iron and stuff.
Yeah, but lightning wouldn't strike like a metal thing. Like, there are tons of other buildings, and they've all got metal antennas, metal supports, and metal staircases. Like, you didn't see the lightning hit anywhere else, did you?
Well, I mean, it is a kids' TV show.
Yeah. Besides, like, it's like a 1 in a million chance lightning would hit in that specific area where Shredder was standing.
Yeah. Okay, do you want to hear some trivia now?
Let's hear it.
Okay, so for part one, this marks the first appearance of Hamato Yoshi. Marks the first appearance of Rokusaki in his Shredder armor. Maki references Ricardo from I Love Lucy when he says, "Leonardo, you got some explaining to do." And the origin or the backstory of that Spencer says throughout this episode is very closely very close to the one in the original comics. So I must admit I do love that. For part two, there's a lot more, and it's a lot more interesting. So this episode marks the Turtles and Mars Splinter's first battle with Shredder. This episode marks the first demise of Shredder. This is the only episode to not feature the theme song during the end credits. This was done by the producers to pay tribute to Street Fighter II movie voice actor Hayadado Amato. I'm pretty sure I said it wrong. Who passed away a month before the episode premiered. The music is not presented on DVD versions on the episode. Now the thing is, I'm not too sure if that is accurate. I mean, all the stuff with the Street Fighter stuff, that is accurate. But the stuff with the DVD versions, I can't remember if it did actually go on some DVDs, because I haven't played my one in ages. Veronica Taylor uses her Ash Ketchum voice for the kid who finds Dante and Mikey in the bathroom. Mikey references Arnold Schwarzenegger for the second time. In the 2003 series, Shredder falls off the roof, but a water tower falls on him. In the live-action Toll movie, Shredder falls into a garbage truck and is compacted by Casey Jones. But in the second live-action movie, he's crushed by a balcony that he tore apart trying to crush the turtles. In the comics, he fell off a roof but was blown up with his own bomb when trying to destroy the turtles. So, you know, it's sort of a recurring thing, but Shredder kills himself. This episode is that's an interesting one. This episode, in like a future episode, when they do time travel stuff, this is one of the time periods that Turtles go back to, and they see the Shredder and all that. So that's quite cool. This episode is based on the first issue of the March comic books with the TMNT stuff, or of course TMNT stuff, but like with the battle against Shredder. Okay, so do you want to hear the cast for this episode?
Go on then.
So Donatello was voiced by Sam Riegel, Han was voiced by Greg Kari, Leonardo was voiced by Michael Sinterklaas, Michelangelo voiced by Wayne Grayson, Rokusaki / Shredder voiced by Scotty Ray, Raphael voiced by Frank Frankson, Splinter done by Darren Dunstan, The Guardians done by Sam Riegel, but I'm pretty sure that is wrong, just because because I'm pretty sure Frederick B. Owens was one who did the voice for the Guardians, so I'm very confused by that. Hamata Yoshi was voiced by Eric Stewart, and Neutron Cancel was voiced by Darren Dunstan. And then for the second episode, for some reason I say Hun was in the episode, but I don't think he was. Okay, so which actor? Which actor would you like to look into on this week?
Shall we look over who does Shredder?
Okay, well he was voiced by Scotty Ray. So on Wikipedia he says he was born on November 30th, 1971. He is 51 years old. Sometimes credited as Scott Raywo. He's a voice actor for Shredder in the TMNT series, as well as various games and Tales Forever. So yeah, let's look at his IMDb page. I'm pretty sure he's done like a lot of anime type stuff, but I'm pretty sure this might be his biggest one in terms of like actually getting casted or anything. Because I feel like he's like another one of those actors that is his big thing, and then after that, nothing really. Okay, so in Pokemon, he was I can't even say that right. Okay, so he's still going with voice acting. He's just not doing as much as I thought he would have. Okay, so yeah, he was in Yu-Gi-Oh. For the Dark World video game. God, I feel like he's definitely another one, but he's been in a few things, but not the stuff that we've seen. So yeah, just looking down at now. Yeah. He's been in stuff. It's just a shame that he hasn't been in stuff that we would watch or would or have seen. But yeah, I guess he's a voice actor, I guess. But yeah, I don't really know what else to really say about this little section. So going into next week's episode is called The Unconvincing Turtle Titan. What do you think is going to happen in that episode?
Did you say the Turtle Titan?
Yes, Unconvincing Turtle Titan.
Huh. Well, I'm not too sure, really. The Turtle Titan. I'm thinking perhaps something like Turtlebot from the 2012 series. Maybe something like that would play out.
Okay. That's
like
interesting
Donnie
theory.
builds a robot.
Oh yeah, Metalhead.
Yeah, metal. That's the one, Metalhead.
Yeah, interesting theory. Very unique. So who do you think is going to be starting the episode off?
I think it's going to be Donnie.
Wrong.
Ah.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. So next week's episode is done. Is going to be started by Mikey, and yeah. So yeah. Did anything else to say about this episode, or are you sort of done with this one?
When is it gonna go in my direction? Like, when am I gonna get one?
I feel like you might get one sort of soon, maybe. I don't know really. But yeah, do you have anything else to say about this episode, or are you sort of done with this one?
Well, I think these episodes are really interesting, really action-packed, and a lot to take in. Like, there was a lot to take in. I really enjoyed the backstories of the characters, and just seeing Master Splinter's backstories as well, especially seeing how he came from a master's pet to becoming a master himself, which was pretty cool to see. So the student has become the master. But seeing the development of Shredder as well, and getting an introduction to him and seeing him fight against the Turtles, that was just pretty cool to watch and see. And yeah, I'm hoping to see more action with the Shredder and the Turtles.
You have to say that overall with this episode, there are so many great things about this one, such as, like a good majority of the ones you've already said, with like introduction to Shredder, the backstory, so many great things. that oh God, I really just want to ramble on and on about how amazing they were. But yeah, this has been another amazing episode. So yeah, if you do want to get onto the podcast, you can leave a comment on the on the community tab on YouTube. Or you can leave a comment on the YouTube videos, on the Facebook pages, on the Reddit pages, or the Anchor, where we can leave a voice message or an actual text message, and we'll read them out. But yeah, I've been your host Teddy,
And I've been Hayden.
and we'll see you soon. Goodbye, yo, bye.
Bye.